Good day and welcome to another edition of Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood. We've got two unique guests today. First time to have two guests on the show. Excited, and I'm super excited about this because these are two of my childhood friends. The president of Lumber1 Home Center, Adam Wells, and his brother Matt Wells, the vice president. Lumber1 Home Center in Mayflower, Arkansas. Now, for those of you from Arkansas, as you're driving down I-40 in central Arkansas and you're passing through Mayflower, you'll see a building off to the far right of I-40, and that is Lumber1. You've always wondered what this place might be if you haven't ever stopped in. Guys, tell us about Lumber1.
Well, thanks for having us, Brad, first of all. So Lumber1 is my wife's family business. My father-in-law, John Morton, his wife Pam started this company. John grew up. I know we may talk about John in a little bit more detail, but John has a great story. John started working in this business and the building materials business when he was 15 years old, working for his mentor, F.L. Davis, and started a store for him in Stuttgart, and eventually bought that store, and then of course in 2008 built this store in Mayflower, and it's where we come to work every day. It's a building material company that basically we sell everything you need to build a house, from the rebar and the block all the way to the lighting and the door hardware. Pretty much everything except for brick and poured cement, we sell it.
I mean, the last time I was in Mayflower to see you guys, I walk in the door and about walked out with a green egg. I mean, you have everything. I mean, the windows, the flooring, a green egg, flashing, all kinds of things. It's, to me, better than Lowe's or Home Depot, right?
Well, we think of ourselves as operating in kind of having our feet in two different spaces. We're a home center. So yes, we think of ourselves as competitors of Lowe's and Home Depot, in that we carry a full line of basically anything you'd need for your home. Yes, we're a Big Green authorized dealer. We work closely with Ace Hardware and carry a lot of their products, are our biggest single retail supplier. We got lots of grills, generators, garden. We are very proud of our garden center, which stays busy all the time. Marta Mobbs is our manager out there, and she does an incredible job. And there are people who won't buy anything else from us, but they come to us to buy from our garden center. So, we think of ourselves, again, competing with those guys, but at the same time, they don't do a whole lot for the professional contractor. And so we also operate in that pro contractor lane as well. And we do a lot of deliveries every single day to job sites to keep contractors up and running, even when they're socially distancing.
Right. Well, so I've got to ask, Matt, you were now growing up, you're a few years younger than Adam and I, and Adam and I have been best friends since way back in the fourth grade, the early 90s, late 80s. You and Jason grew up together, our younger brothers. Of course, Adam and I always had to own up to the fact that we were you guys' brothers. You guys aren't our brothers. But talk to me about, after you grew up, you got in the oil and gas business for a while. How did you end up into Lumber1 and in the lumber industry?
Well, even before oil and gas, Adam and I both come from a long line of residential painters. So, and I'm very proud of that. Our grandfather and our dad both have been in that, business somewhat, whether full-time or, part-time to supplement income, for a long, long time. So, that's something I did through college. It's something I did in between jobs. And honestly, I got a job at Southwestern Energy, a natural gas company that's based out of Houston, but they had, a big corporate office in Conway. And for about 5 years, worked there. As a great company. No matter where you stand on natural gas and fracking is besides the point. But it was a really great company, and they treated their employees really well. Made a lot of great relationships there. And throughout the gas prices started to go down. And that was something to pick on Southwestern Energy, but that was obviously nationwide. And so as that thing kind of started to wind down, and my career there started to wind down, kind of got back into the painting business and had my own, crew and kind of got back into a world that I was used to and kind of waiting out things to see what my next move would be. And that's when I got a call from Adam, and he was telling me about, of course I knew Neely, his wife, and her connection to Lumber1, and knew things were ramping up in their relationship. And so I remember getting a call. My kids and I were at, I remember exactly where I was, to be honest with you. I was at the Waffle House, of all places. Yeah. And no, it wasn't 3 a.m. It was Waffle House date night with my daughter. And anyway, I got the call from Adam, and he kind of told me what he was thinking about doing and his plans on switching careers. And I, obviously, it's my brother, so we're super close. We think a lot alike, and I've known, that Adam has been passionate about being a lawyer, and that career, ever since we were in 6th or 7th grade. That's exactly what he wanted to do. He's known that for forever. And so to hear him, say that he was going to switch careers and take on something new at this point in his career and being a partner at the biggest law firm in the state of Arkansas, I mean, it was a pretty big shocker. And so it wasn't too long after that, after he told me that he was switching careers and that things were starting to take shape for him of exactly what that would look like, that he asked me if I'd be interested in taking on a role in some capacity. And we didn't know at the time exactly what I'd be doing. But I obviously saw it as a really great opportunity, not only to work with my brother, which was, at the time we had no idea how that was going to go. We could talk we have another podcast on the ins and the outs of that. But it turned out great. And then there again, I'm grateful for the opportunity that he's given me. And then of course that, to be a part of the Lumber1 family and the Morton family, it's been great.
Right. And that's a great segment into what I want. When I asked Adam if you guys would be on the podcast, I told Adam, I said, look, we've got to title this thing From Law to Lumber, because again, knowing Adam all the way back to the early 90s, the only thing he ever wanted to be was a corporate attorney. I mean, from day one, that was what he was going to be, was a corporate attorney. And by golly, he was. And Adam, you were one of the most successful attorneys in the state of Arkansas during your time. But talk to us about that transition from being a lawyer, the #1 lawyer in the state in your area, to now the #1 president in the lumber industry. Talk about that transition.
Well, you just greatly offended several lawyers who were way better than me in the area of medical malpractice. First of all, I appreciate the praise, but basically, you guys are both right. I wanted to be a lawyer since the time I was 9 or 10 years old, and one shouldn't take career advice from a 10-year-old, but I did. And to be honest with you, I despite the fact that I had told myself and everybody who would listen that's what I wanted to do, I had no idea what it was going to take to get there. I remember finishing up my junior year of college and walking into the cafeteria one day, and the University of Arkansas School of Law had a table set up for people who might be interested in going there. And of course I stopped by and said, hey, I want to go to law school. And he said, the gentleman there, Dean Jim Miller, who I got to know very well and really appreciated, said, well, what did you make on the LSAT? And I said, what's the LSAT? I had no idea you had to take an exam to get into law school. So after law school, during law school, if I was going to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a lawyer at the best possible place. And to me, and I would argue indisputably, the best place to be is the Friday law firm. And so I was fortunate enough to get a job, what I would call my dream job, at the Friday law firm. I always did want to be a corporate attorney, but honestly, the only spot they had for me was in medical malpractice defense. Well, I had no background in medicine whatsoever. I have an economics degree. And so I wasn't positive I was the right fit. but they put me there and told me I could learn as I went. And so I did. I had an incredible set of mentors at the Friday firm, most notably Laura Smith, who actually is worthy of the praise you gave me earlier. She may be the best trial lawyer in the history of the state of Arkansas. But in any event, I learned so much from her and the rest of my colleagues there, and honestly had my dream job. I was there for 12 years. Yes, I was a partner, loved it, would never have dreamed for the vast majority of that time of ever doing anything else. But as both of you know, and as my now wife, Neely, knows, the law is a jealous mistress. And I had no time for pretty much anything other than the law, which is not an uncommon story, but I wasn't very good at balancing work and life. And so it had been discussed casually before with Neely and her family about, would Adam be interested in coming to work at Lumber1? And I honestly just dismissed that as something I didn't think would ever happen. I didn't give it any consideration. But God or circumstances tend to intervene at some point, and things go the way they're supposed to go, because in June of 2016, John kind of was at a turning point and wanting to get some direction on what the next phase was for this company and for himself. Down the road, he's wanting to move on and retire, or at least slow down. He may not ever retire, but the circumstances just felt right. And so I decided to make that decision. Now, I'm not a risk taker. I'm risk averse. Matt's the risk taker. John, my father-in-law, obviously has the entrepreneurial spirit embedded in him, and Matt is pre-programmed with that too. I, on the other hand, am the exact opposite. I'm pre-programmed to be very risk averse. So that's the riskiest thing I ever did, was leave something that I absolutely loved and thought I had become pretty decent at, to go try something new. But it was an opportunity for me to start fresh and set my priorities right on the front end, hopefully have some work-life balance, and work with family. And so that seemed like the perfect marriage of circumstances. So here we are almost 4 years later, and I don't regret it one bit.
Right. And you talk about family, and obviously the business has been within the Morton family for several years. Now the opportunity to come back and work within that family. Matt, what's it like working for your brother? And as you mentioned, also the Morton family. Talk about the family culture that you guys have established, because I've seen it even with your customers in the store, how it just feels like a family environment. Talk about that family culture just a little bit.
Sure. Well, it's a breath of fresh air, honestly. I mean, anybody that's worked in a corporate environment, and, you alluded to it earlier, I worked at Southwestern Energy. It's a big company. Hewlett Packard, I spent some time there at Fortune 500 company. I mean, these are big places with processes and, things already kind of nailed down and ironed out. And when you find yourself in those environments, if you've ever been there, or if you're not, if you have, it gets a little stuffy, and, things are very rigid, and you better, you fall in line or you're out of there. And so, and my time in those places, is a blessing and a curse. I mean, I didn't see myself doing that type of work in either one of those places for the rest of my career, the rest of my life. But I was very blessed to, be able to take some of those best practices, some of those things I learned about the corporate side of things, and then bring those over into what we're doing here. And that's on the business side of things. Now the beautiful thing about that is that I've been in a space where, I've been around family, or, the Mortons are, their family to me. And of course with Adam, so ideas are, wanted, new ideas are wanted. And from day one, John and Pam, Neely have all been, just very open and encouraging to bring new ideas to the table. And again, that's a very refreshing, spot to be in, especially with somebody who doesn't have a lack of ideas. It doesn't mean they're all good ideas, but I definitely, I could come up with a few things on a day-to-day basis. So, it's been a perfect fit for me personally to come into a family, run business where, they care so much about, getting the job done, adding value to your customers. I could talk for days about some of the things that I think most businesses, want, which is, again, providing the most value for their customers and trying to improve. But I do believe that the Mortons, there's an extra, they care a lot. And so you feel that. I felt that right when I started. Still feel that to this day, 4 years in. And so, another good thing is working with your brother. And thank goodness, because most bosses would have fired me by now, is that, I get to be very, very transparent. And, I feel like we can accelerate certain things because there's no barriers there. So things that goals that we set or things that we're trying to get to, things that we're trying to achieve, when you can have a direct, unfiltered conversation about what you're doing and how you're going to get there, I feel like it does accelerate the process because there's no BS. There's, you're right to the point and you can let it fly. And that's exactly what we do. And I feel like we have accelerated a lot of our goals because of that very reason. So again, to kind of summarize, I mean, you got people in charge, speaking of the Mortons, that care a lot about their business. They care a lot about the people that work in their business, and they care about the clients. And then you got the dynamic of Adam and I, of being able to, focus in on what we bring to the table and the goals that we set. And again, just that fact that we can sit there and achieve those things and kind of fast forward the process. I think it's been great so far.
That's amazing. And you talk about how much the Mortons care about the customers and the customer experience. So we got involved, it's been almost 2 years now, with you all and in an incentive and rewards program. Now, normally what we do, DreamIT Professional Events and Return on Incentives, Jay Staggs and I, normally what we do is we come in and show sales teams how to be rewarded through reaching goals and give them an incentive that way. You guys kind of turned the table just a little bit and put it, again, based on the Morton's values, into the customer's hands and ran it as a rewards program. Adam, talk about how you guys did that, what that looked like from start to finish as far as setting the incentive up as a customer rewards program.
Well, so there's a background on that goes back further than me and Matt being here at Lumber1. John has told us for a long time and others before us about when he first moved into this market in Central Arkansas, having to go against one competitor in particular who had a rewards program that was based on a trip, or actually became a series of trips. Essentially, it built so much loyalty because people were so focused on earning enough points in that rewards program to take this trip with this company. And I think it grew so much, it's my understanding that they were taking 500 people a year on various trips. That company did not survive after the market crash in 2008. And so people were left, contractors talking about essentially, boy, I wish something like that still existed. And even when Matt and I came on board here, of course, almost 10 years later, you still had people bringing it up, and John would bring it up, that would be really great if we could come up with something like that, because it really built some, not just loyalty to the company, but helped build relationships with the customers and amongst the customers. I think they look forward on those trips to spending as much time with each other as they did with the people who they were buying materials from, and they've got stories to tell. And so, Brad, when you started talking about doing this kind of thing with employee incentives or customer incentives, I got to be honest, I was skeptical because I had not seen it with my own two eyes. I wasn't sure how that would look. I'm not sure, some people, why would I want to go on a vacation with a bunch of people I don't know very well? If I'm a customer, that's what I'm thinking. But John, you told me, no, it works. I promise you it works in other industries. And when I brought it up to John, he said, yes, let's do it. Let's talk to him because it works. And after hearing you guys talk, honestly, I was sitting there as a spectator watching you and John talk about how it would work. And to fast forward to what we ended up doing, it just could not have gotten off to a better start. We had a fabulous time. People, I don't know if there were people who weren't looking forward to on the front end, they absolutely enjoyed every second of that trip and are looking forward to future trips now, as am I. And the whole thing certainly made me a believer, and I think Matt too. And it just could not have come off better. And we can't wait for the future and to do it again and again and again. And I hope we one day are taking 500 people on a trip.
Selfishly, I hope you are too. That'd be great. So, and the trip was great. We were there. And we went. By the way, you went to Los Cabos, stayed at the Hyatt Ziva, had a great time. There was one mishap. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I want to talk about how you entertain. You took it even a step further. So on our programs, our typical model, as most people know, is we always offer a welcome reception on day one. We give you 2 days at leisure and tell you to go and do and see, explore, take the excursion, so forth. And then on the final night, have a farewell reception that we call. And that's kind of our cookie cutter model, if you will. And you guys followed that to a T. But I want to talk about the excursion day because you guys had some clients that did some amazing things, from deep sea fishing. With several of us played around a golf, and Adam, you were kind enough to let me go and play and enjoy that marvelous golf course that we played. But you had a lady that took a camel ride and kissed a camel. I mean, it was bucket list things that these people did. The deep sea fishing guys caught, what they catch, Matt? I can't even remember what they caught.
They caught
a marlin.
Sizable marlin, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Big marlin, and I've got pictures, and if I was better at video editing on the fly while we were live, I could pull up some pictures of the marlin. I'll be sure to post them on social media again. But Matt, of all the things that were there and were offered, what excursion did you choose?
Oh, Daddy chose a day of leisure, my friend. So, hey, look, first of all, I have a teenager at the house, okay? All right? I don't need to ride any camels. I don't need to go out fishing for 8 hours. Daddy needs a massage. And so me and my wife, we chose a deep tissue massage. And I do it 10 times over. It was the right choice.
You know what? I love making fun of you about it, but I love that you made that choice because the spa there is incredible. Their service is phenomenal, as was everything at the resort. But I love that you chose to do the spa, and it just goes to show that there are a variety of things that are offered on the trip, and literally from a camel, riding a camel and kissing a camel, to, hey, doing a couples massage, you can do anything that might be on your bucket list. So let's talk now about, Adam, when we had the trip, obviously we always invite you to come a day early. You're with us in the preparations as we begin waiting the arrival of your guests. And primarily we do that just in case things go wrong. Lo and behold, on your trip, something was about to go really, really, really wrong, and the power was not going to be on when your guests arrived. Talk us through that experience and what was on your mind and just your experience through that.
Oh, I didn't ever want to think about this again, Brad. So as beautiful as Cabo is, and it's wonderful, it's still, you got to remember, you're not in the United States. And so there are certain elements that are beyond anyone's control. And so we got word late in the day on, and you guys tried to protect me from it, and which I appreciated. But as it became more and more of a possibility, you couldn't hide it from us, and so we had to deal with it head on. And basically, the Mexican government had told the resort that they had to have certain electrical engineering work done to their power grid, essentially, and they were going to be shutting the power down for basically all of the first day that our guests were there. So like you said, I was there the evening, the afternoon and evening before, to kind of get everything ready and get acclimated before everyone arrived the next morning. And of course, as excited as we were about all this, the worst thing you can imagine is all your important customers who've earned this trip and are looking forward to it and have flown from Little Rock down to Cabo are going to arrive, and there's not going to be any power for 8 to 12 hours that they're there. And so it was I will admit, I've been through a lot of stressful situations. That was about as panicked a feeling as I've ever had. But I will tell you, between yourself and your partner Jay Staggs, and Ann there, who's working with you guys, you kept me calm, kept me assured that there would be multiple options for backup plans. And I felt, as nervous as I was about the possibility of all that happening, I felt assured that you guys had it covered if we had to call an audible. And lo and behold, the next morning, while my brother and all of our customers are flying down, they're in the air on the way, you guys were able to prevail. Cooler heads, wisdom prevails, and convince them to completely delay this project until sometime after our visit to their resort. So it worked out great. Not without, I don't have a whole lot of hair left to lose on the back here. It's retreating from the rear. And I definitely lost a few more follicles through that experience. But I was so appreciative of how professional you guys were in handling all that. And you guys showed the Mexican government who's boss.
Well, again, not something that you plan on nor want to happen. It was definitely a stressful time. I think throughout the day, from travel down there to finally getting that thing settled, it was almost a 24-hour experience. But again, that's just part of our service. As I told you, look, normally we keep you behind the scenes, but this has gone a little bit further than things normally do, and we need to get you involved in this process because, as you talked about, during the stressful times, we were actually making other plans for your guests to not have to arrive at the resort, and even we're about to take the steps to book a new hotel for the trip should it all happen. But it all worked out great. We're appreciative for your patience through the time, and golly, the trip, I'd have to say, was just phenomenal. Had to have worked out great. What has your feedback been since you guys have been home from your customers?
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful. Let me just point out that nobody on the trip, we may be breaking the news to them right now, nobody knew anything about any of that going on, and so they were none the wiser about what had almost happened, which I was appreciative of because it was not a distraction to them having a good time. The feedback we had from an hour into the trip forward was that it was absolute first class, and it was every detail thought of and you guys, basically handheld us through it and made it as seamless as possible for us. We had at your request, we did personalized notes and letters along with some gifts in everyone's room when they arrived, and then the night before they left with some photographs of their time there. And it's just, I mean, again, every single detail was perfect, and they noticed it. And they let us know while we were there, and they've let us know since then. I get calls, we're in April, and of course we're in unique circumstances right now in the world, but I'm still getting calls constantly asking about where we're going next and what the dates are, because people want to go, and people who saw the things we posted and our customers posted on social media. There's been such a great reception to what we did, the great time that everybody had, and we've had other people sign up, and I think that momentum is just still gonna build going forward.
Sure, and I know a lot of people, especially you guys with John having kind of the background and knowing simply that it works, might not have put numbers and measured out all the metrics, Matt, but is doing a trip like this, has it been financially beneficial to the company, obviously, or are you just throwing the boondoggle and planning on going again?
Both, for sure. I mean, look, this is, yes. I mean, that obviously, we do this because it's a good opportunity, like Adam already alluded to. I mean, it's a good opportunity to take anybody who wants to go somewhere very, very special. Let them relax, kick their feet up. We deal with them and stuff. And most of the times, I mean, let's just be honest and transparent. There's a lot of, high anxiety, dealings with, just situations that arise in this industry. Part of our jobs is to put out the fire sometimes. And, we're blessed to have really good people as clients and customers. And so they understand, because they're dealing with it on their end as well. So we're all a team, and to be able to go somewhere and, experience something a little bit more laid back, still in a business capacity somewhat, but still, get to see each other in a little bit more calm environment, kick your feet up, share stories, talk about ways to improve things, and things you just wouldn't really necessarily think to talk about or really just have the time to carve out in a normal business, environment and your normal day-to-day. So there's a lot of benefit to that. Obviously I've deepened my relationships with some of our customers, from that trip, and I already had great relationships with a lot of them, but it just got that much better. So I'm a big fan. And like Adam said, you guys knocked it out of the park. You guys set the bar pretty high. I mean, they don't all go that way, I assume, and so, we're pretty thankful for you guys and what you're able to do and helping us create that experience for them, because again, it didn't have to go that way. But it did, it went off great. And yeah, I get the same feedback Adam gets, is basically where are we going next. So.
That's great. Guys, I want to respect your time and thank you being on, but I've got to ask you, when you're on Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood, I've got to ask you one final question, and that's what's on your bucket list. Adam, take it away. What's on your bucket list?
Well, right now, what's on my bucket list is a November Masters. I'll tell you that. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to enjoy a fall Masters. I'm sure that Augusta looks beautiful in the fall, but in the more short term, and much more importantly, on my bucket list is to have a safe and healthy daughter. I've got Neely and I are expecting our first child in June, so that's my most immediate focus. And my bucket list is just to have a happy and healthy little girl.
Can't wait. Matt, what's on the list?
So personally, all jokes aside, man, I'm living my bucket list. I married my high school sweetheart. We're still in love to this day. I got two awesome kids at the house, Laurel and Landon. And so I'm pretty blessed. Now, when it comes to, letting my hair down and doing something outside the house, I've been a UFC fan for, forever, since the early days. I've got to go to Vegas at some point and watch a UFC event. I got one in mind, one particular fighter in mind, Conor McGregor. I've got to see him fight live at some point. So We got to make that happen.
We'll make that happen. Might even be another little rewards trip built into it. We can definitely make that happen. Guys, I'm so thankful to be able to talk to you again this morning. Thanks for coming on the show. How do people find Lumber1 that are listening?
Well, you should, first of all, come join us in Mayflower, Stuttgart. To something you said at the first of the show, we're located right off of I-40, our Mayflower store. One thing I get consistently from people when they walk in our store for the first time is, wow, I cannot believe this store is in Mayflower. It's beautiful. It's big. We've got 30,000 square feet of retail space, and and we've got another 60,000 feet of indoor lumberyard space out back. But we've got anything you need. So I would say the best way to find us is come see us in person. But you can find us on social media. Matt is our de facto. We all wear about 10 hats. Matt wears 20 hats because he's able to adapt to any situation. And he happens to be our social media director and does a phenomenal job on Instagram and Facebook with that. We'd love to have more Twitter followers, so please follow us at Lumber1 Home Center. Or Lumber1 HC, excuse me, on Twitter. But we'd love to see you guys in person. I need to point out also to the point about coming to see us in our Mayflower store. We have some exciting things coming up at Lumber1 in the next 12 months that are going to just be a really big deal, I hope, to our existing customers, and to the people in Central Arkansas. We have 2 different construction projects going on, one of which we're building a brand new lumberyard and distribution center it's in Southwest Little Rock, just off of I-30, about a mile towards Benton and Bryant. If you're familiar with Central Arkansas, it's about a mile towards Benton and Bryant from the Bass Pro Center there, and across I-30. And we have about 100,000 square feet of existing warehouse space. It's where our door manufacturing facility is. It's where Matt is right now. And we're pouring about 7.5 acres of concrete out there and erecting, I think, 13 different structures to store lumber in. That's going to increase our capacity by 3 or 4-fold compared to what we can do now. Most of our business right now is south of the river, even though we're located in Faulkner County. And so we want to be closer to that and continue to grow it. And so we're really excited about that facility because this business it's a testament to John Morton and everything that he and his wife and his daughter, my wife, and everyone who works here, it's a testament to what they've done, because we are doing so much more business than he ever dreamed of doing in this store, which is why we've kind of run out of room to grow here. So we're excited about having that increased capacity. And we're hoping that facility is open sometime this summer. In addition to that, we bought, as many people may know, we bought what used to be called the Clear Channel Metroplex in Little Rock, just off of I-430 at the Colonel Glenn exit. And that was built as a Sam's Club, actually. And so we're going to take it back to its roots after it had some TV studios and radio studios in there for the last 20 years. We've got them moved out, and we are underway in the demolition of that building to take it back to its original use, which is a big box store. And we're going to have 108,000 square foot retail store. We won't do any deliveries out of there, but we'll have a drive-in lumberyard. It'll be, you mentioned Lowe's and Home Depot. It'll be a lot like Lowe's and Home Depot in the sense that we'll have everything, and we've got tons of space to have it. The differences being, number one, you can drive your car, your truck with a trailer into our store to be loaded, as opposed to having a carted out front. And just as importantly, we have aims of having a design center with lighting, flooring, cabinets, windows, and doors like does not exist currently in Central Arkansas or in Arkansas, period. Some of the bigger markets we have tried to borrow some concepts from and bring those here. We want any builder, whether you're building a spec house for $175,000 or you're building a custom home that's $1 million plus. We want you to be proud to send your homeowner in to our store to pick out the best possible product at the best prices and get the best service. And we're proud of our team. We're going to take the family values, the family service atmosphere we've got at Stuttgart and Mayflower right now, and take that with us to Little Rock and just scale things up. So we're very excited about all those things. That store is, like I said, being built now, and we hope later this year or early next year we'll have that ready to go. And it's some exciting times, and I couldn't be prouder to be doing all this with my family, with my in-laws, with my wife, and with my brother. I could not. I told John Morton when I agreed to do this, when I was still practicing law and I agreed to do this, that I couldn't do it without Matt. So that's the phone call that I made to him while he was in Waffle House, was because I knew I couldn't do this without him. And I'm so thankful for having him. We take a divide and conquer approach, and we do the best we can. It takes at least two of us to fill the shoes that John Morton has filled on largely on his own for a long time. So, but he's got a great team here that we've gotten to know, and we love and respect as well.
That's great. You guys do a great job. You've got a successful business. Proud of both of you and look forward to the big things to come. Again, check them out, lumber1homecenter.com, or get to Mayflower and go see the new facilities as they develop in Little Rock. Guys, thanks again for being on the show. Enjoyed having you. Hey, listen, if you're ready for an incentive trip or ready to live the bucket list life, check it out at DreamItPro.com. Remember, life's too short, and the bucket list life is a life worth living. We'll see you next week.